Hello and welcome back to my channel, Mental Health with Melissa. If you're new here, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I post new videos every single Sunday and Wednesday, and subscribing to my channel really helps get mental health information out there to our communities of color and tons of free Lcsw test prep. I have a social work study Lcsw test prep program available for purchase down below. If you've seen all my hundreds of free test prep videos on this channel, then you'll have a kind of general idea of my teaching style. I developed this Lcsw study program after getting many inquiries about tutoring services. I would love to do that with each of the individuals that have reached out to me personally. Unfortunately, I just don't have my schedule doesn't allow me to do that at this time, so that's why I developed this program, because I would go through a tutoring program in this exact same way that I've formulated the study program, and you'll see it down below. So there's going to be a study guide, a study schedule, tons of videos that are only accessible to those that purchase it, and a 170 Lcsw question mock exam with walkthrough rationale videos for that. So feel free to go ahead and jump down to the link below. So today I wanted to take a look at CBT. Now, I've talked about CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, briefly in other videos, or I referenced it very briefly in other videos, such as the video that I have on my channel where I talk about some of the most utilized interventions, therapeutic interventions. So today I actually want to look at an actual chart so that you can learn how to use it, if it be on yourself, or if you are a behavioral health or mental health provider and you're really trying to just gain a general understanding of how to use it as a homework exercise with your client. So today the video is going to be broken into two parts. We are going to look at the chart itself. I'm going to go through what each of these things means, and we're also going to look at what's called a feeling wheel. And I think the feeling wheel is one of the most excellent and useful tools that you can use as a therapist, but also for your clients. So personally and professionally speaking, I have all my clients look at the feeling wheel, and I use it myself in my everyday life. And I also tell my loved ones about it. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. So we're going to take a look at the feeling wheel, and then we're going to jump back into this actual CBT chart. Okay, so this is a feeling wheel, and if you Google feeling wheel, you'll literally have hundreds of options. It doesn't really matter which one you use. I personally like this one because it has some of these, I guess you could say, more well-known sorts of feelings and emotions, and then they can branch out to have more emotions that are either synonymous or a little bit different. But starting off with the core emotions helps us identify the emotions on the outer layers. So why a feeling wheel? What is the benefit of a feeling wheel? So as you know, with CBT, in a nutshell, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is the sort of therapy that addresses our cognitions, because the cognitions affect the way we feel, and in turn affect the way that we behave, or our behaviors. So an example that I like to use with my clients is an unhelpful thought, such as, people think I look dumb. Okay, so if that is a thought that comes up for you, it's not a helpful thought, because it doesn't make you feel happy or content or love, usually. So as a result, you may be feeling some sort of way if you're telling yourself that, or you have that thought. So what is the feeling or the emotion that comes up for you? It may be different for different people, but let's say it makes somebody feel anxious. So we look on this feeling wheel, and we find that this is the best way to describe how we're feeling with that particular thought. And as a result of feeling anxious and having that thought, it may prevent us from engaging with colleagues, friends, potential partners, because we are anxious and we're telling ourselves that people think that we look dumb. And so that affects the behavior. And so that's what is meant when we say that our cognitions affect our feelings, which affect our behaviors. So that's kind of a very in a nutshell example. So I love using this, and I couldn't be the biggest advocate more of an advocate for this feeling wheel, because again, even if you're not utilizing CBT, for those of you that have a hard time expressing your emotions, this is the best way to start, by looking at a wheel. If you have a hard time looking into your gut and articulating how it is that you're feeling, or the emotion that's coming up for you, this is going to be your guide. I still use it. I talk about my feelings all the time, and I still use it in everyday life. And again, I bring it up with clients. So now that you have an idea of what the feeling wheel is and how to use it, I want to take it back up to the CBT chart. All right, so this is like your core CBT chart. So I'm gonna, let's see, let me make it a little smaller so I can fit the screen here. So with a pretty basic CBT chart, the goal is to write down the situation. So I thought that I would use an example about test-taking fear and test-taking stress, because I think that if we're able to use these sorts of interventions on ourselves, sometimes it helps us utilize them better with the populations that we're serving. So say we're talking about the LCSW exam, and you have the LCSW exam coming up, and that would be the situation. So the situation up here would be LCSW exam. So you would write that there. Now, a core belief is kind of the way in which we see ourselves, and how we think the world sees us, and how we view the world. So a core belief may sound something like, I'm not good enough. And that may not be the thought that's directly associated to taking the LCSW exam, but that's a core belief, if that's something that you have been telling yourself and you really do believe that. So you would put that down here. Now, if you're going down to thoughts, you want to go and take the situation, so the LCSW exam, and the thought that comes up for you when you're thinking about taking the LCSW exam. Say for somebody that has extreme test-taking anxiety, the thought may be, I will fail the test and I will never get a job. Say that's a thought. And is it helpful or unhelpful? Well, it's definitely not helpful, so I would say it's unhelpful. So now we want to go to the emotions. What emotions or feelings come up for you when you have that thought? And so you're going to want to reference the feeling wheel. Let's say that the feeling that comes up, let's go back down to the feeling wheel, is inferior. This is a good one, inferior and insecure, because those are branches from fear. So I like that. So then you would put that here. And the bodily sensations would be something that happens in your body. Is your heart racing? Are you feeling tension in your neck? You want to write these here. And then your behaviors. So your behaviors, oh my gosh, sorry about that. There's always sirens coming through this way. I know it's really annoying. Behaviors are what is going to be impacted. So say, again, the thought is, I'm not going to pass a test, and it means I'll never get a job. You feel fearful. You feel your heart racing. The behavior may be that you actually put off studying. Maybe you procrastinate and you don't study until, like, I don't know, a week before the test. Or even the opposite. Maybe you study to the extreme, where you are trying to memorize things like 8 hours a day, when really, science backs that you do have to take breaks, and your mind or your brain can't retain too much information in one sitting. So that's how that would be affected. So after you get all of that, there's kind of like an area here that's missing, but basically there's a place where you're going to want to write some more helpful thoughts. So once we have down your core beliefs, the situation, all of these things we have in front of us, that you've identified that there's a thinking pattern that you have that causes feelings to be overwhelming at times, which affects your behaviors and your body. So after identifying that, we're going to want to challenge the thoughts. So maybe there's a more realistic thought going on here. I work hard on my study material, and because of that, I will do the best that I can. So if you're replacing the unhelpful thought of, I'm going to fail the test, with what I had just said, that I'm doing the best that I can, and that will be enough, right? So, you don't know that you're going to fail, but you don't know that you're going to pass. And you can even say, I will pass because of all the time I put into studying. And then I wonder how that might affect your emotions. So if we're going back down here, and there's joy, optimism, right? Eager. Those feelings may definitely make the heart rate go down. As a behavior, you may be able to incorporate a adequate or healthy amount of study time in your day to prepare for the exam. And that's what this is about. So I hope this was a good example for you. I really wanted to incorporate a training on this, not just for clients, but also for providers, because a lot of the time, there aren't specific CBT trainings in specific workplaces. I know that there's like a lot of different CEUs and things that you can take like that, but I was surprised to find that a lot of workplaces don't offer trainings specifically to address how to utilize CBT charts. And so I thought it would be a good idea to kind of just utilize this on ourselves, and then in that way practice makes perfect, and it makes it easier to describe it and assign it to our clients. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. As always, managing mental health matters.